All right, let's talk about the Renaissance. But here's the thing. We're not just going to look at the amazing art and sculptures. We're going deeper. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of the Western mind, a time that didn't just change art, it completely shattered an entire understanding of the universe and our place in it. So, let's get right into it.
And I'm not exaggerating, that's exactly what happened. Think about it, this massive structure, this whole intellectual and spiritual universe that had been standing for 1,000 years, it just got completely taken apart. So, how? I mean, what could possibly be powerful enough to tear it all down?
Okay, so to really get what changed, we've got to first understand what was there before. The medieval world, well, it was all about order. It was a stable, unified universe where everyone and everything had a specific place, and it was all designed and set in motion by God.
Now, the operating system for this entire world, it was something called scholasticism. And what's so wild about this is, the point wasn't to go out and discover new things. Not at all. The goal was to use logic to prove what you already believed to be true, based on faith and what guys like Aristotle had said ages ago. So you see, knowledge wasn't this big open field you explored. It was more like a closed box that you just had to figure out.
And this way of thinking, it created this incredibly detailed, rigid map of the cosmos. You had humanity, us, right at the center of everything, the star of the show. The heavens literally revolved around us in perfect spheres. God was the ultimate cause, the first cause that kicked everything off. Even your own body, with its 4 humors, and your social status, all of it was locked in place. It was all part of this grand divine plan. The one thing it gave you? Certainty. Absolute certainty. But then, something started to shift. A new way of thinking started to bubble up. You could call it a spark that was about to set that whole perfect clockwork universe ablaze. And that spark was humanism.
So you have these thinkers, guys like Petrarch, and they come along with this totally radical idea. They said, hey, what if we went back to the original texts? What if we read Plato and Cicero for ourselves, without all the medieval commentary telling us what to think? They started pushing for an education that wasn't just obsessed with the afterlife. It was about human potential, about what we could do right here, right now, on Earth.
And you can really see the massive collision of ideas right here. The whole focus shifts, you know? It goes from the afterlife to this life, from focusing on heaven to worldly achievement. Truth wasn't something you just got from authority anymore. It was something you could find through your own reason and by actually looking at the world. And the hero of the story changes. It's not just the saint anymore. It's the universal man, someone who could do it all. Art, science, politics, the whole shebang.
Okay, so this wasn't just some stuffy debate happening in universities. No, these new ideas started to leak out and cause some major shakeups in the real world, in politics, in power, and even in the stories people told each other.
A perfect example? Machiavelli. His book, The Prince, just blew everything up. He basically said, look, politics isn't some divine mission to guide people to heaven. It's a cold, hard science of power. The only goal of a state is to survive, and a ruler should do whatever it takes to make that happen. Forget the old religious rules. I mean, this was a completely different way of seeing power.
And you see this same revolution happening in literature, too. Writers started ditching Latin, the language of the church, and began writing in their everyday languages. You know, Italian, English, French. This created a whole new sense of national identity. And what were they writing about? The human experience, all of its messiness, its complexity, its beauty. Think about a play like Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. It's all about that intense, almost desperate hunger for knowledge and experience in this world. That's pure humanism.
All right, so you've got all these new ideas about humanity and society swirling around, but the real knockout punches, the ones that brought the whole medieval world down, came from 2 places at once. One that shattered the heavens and another that shattered the soul.
First up, Copernicus. He comes out with this theory that the sun, not the earth, is the center of the universe. And look, this was so much more than just moving some planets around. The whole medieval universe was built on the idea that we, humanity, were the center of God's creation, literally. When Copernicus and later Galileo moved the earth, they didn't just upend astronomy. They basically kicked humanity out of its special spot in the cosmos, a huge psychological blow.
And right as this is happening, the Protestant Reformation is doing the exact same thing to the spiritual world. You see, the medieval church was this huge structure of middlemen. You needed popes, priests, sacraments, all to get to God. Then Martin Luther comes along and says, nope, all you need is faith. His idea of justification by faith alone just wiped the whole system away.
He argued for a direct line between you and God, your own conscience, your own reading of the Bible. That was the new authority. And just like that, the entire spiritual power structure of the Middle Ages, gone.
So, where does that leave us? The old universe is in pieces. The old certainties are totally gone. So what comes next? What rises from all that rubble? Well, we do. The modern world.
Out of the ashes of that old world, you get the fundamental building blocks of our own. First, there's individualism, right? It comes from that Protestant idea of a personal conscience and the humanist love of individual achievement. Second, you get nationalism. People start identifying with their state, their country, not just with one universal church. And then, the big one, empiricism. Thinkers like Sir Francis Bacon said, forget ancient authority. If you want to know something, go look at it, observe it, test it. And that, well, that's the foundation of all modern science.
So when you put it all together, you see the Renaissance was so much more than just pretty paintings. It was this massive pivot point for the Western world. We went from a world where truth was something handed down from above to a world where truth is something we go out and find for ourselves. It was messy, it was confusing, and it completely changed everything. It literally forged the values and the mindset we all live with today.
You know, this whole incredible, chaotic period was really driven by one thing, a willingness to question absolutely everything. And that leaves us with a pretty big question for our own time. What are the things we believe today without question? The things we just assume are true? And what would happen if we started to question them?